Alright, we should be back. We should be back online now. Mic check, mic check. Seems like we're good. Alright. This gamer's got me, thankfully. Someone's got me. Are we good? Bring him into the Grand Finals lobby. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen. Unfortunately, had a little bit of technical difficulties on my end. My internet had randomly decided to die. And unfortunately could not catch the end of the losers finals match. But regardless, we're here in Grands. We have made it back for the grand finale. And in the grand finale, we have members only getting the run back, beating the regime. And now they will be the ones to go up against Nightfire's team. Nightfire's team, let's not forget, they're the ones who set the regime into the losers bracket. Since the regime has been eliminated and now it is members only, the members only squad must win 2 whole sets. 1 to reset the bracket, and 1, of course, to win the tournament. It's a long uphill fight that they have to make. But they might be able to do it. They've done it before in the past. They've gone the last game, last round. And as far as I can tell, from the little bit I was able to see through Benny's POV, they played lights out on that War Games map. So they're feeling it. They have the momentum. Knight and Company, they've been sitting on the throne. And they're trying to take their first TBT tournament win. Or we have the repeating champions of members only. If you're just coming in, just want to reinstate again that unfortunately my internet had randomly decided to die during the losers finals. I told them to we agreed that they should just play it out. That way we can move the tournament along and not waste people's time. Because we are potentially here for the long haul of the grand finals. One side, members only. How many teams have we seen crawl back all the way from the loser side of the bracket? Like, I feel like LSD's team's done it. I feel like I've seen Person's team do it a few times. I feel like we've seen, I think maybe Lightman too as well. But the point is that a lot of these veteran players, even though they get sent to losers bracket, they know they're not out, and they know they can come all the way back. But here we are. Grand Finals. We have the first band being Colony, which I think is a great pick. Again, members only, a ton of phenomenal pilots. Don't want to give them a map where they're allowed to just generate pilot advantage. And I just want to mention too, one of the people I think who's been generating a ton of pilot advantage for specifically on the members only team, of course all of them phenomenal. S Gamer's been putting in the work lately. He's been getting a ton of work done with his cloak pilot play. He gets a lot of unsuspected rodeos, does a ton of damage, secures bats for his team. He kind of is just the one-man show if things need to happen. For those of you wondering where we are on the bracket, as I do not have a bracket command set up, we are sitting in Grand Finals. This is your Grand Finals. Okay? Members only on the left, who we're currently spectating right now, going to be coming from the loser side. On the right, of course, going to be the Malicious Mergers. They sit in the winner side of the bracket. Members only is going to need to win 2 sets of 3 out of 5, whereas the Malicious Mergers only need to win 1. And the first map is going to be Boomtown. Boomtown, Titanfall 2's tried and true classic map. And we're going to get right into it. Who will take the first game? Will it be members only or the malicious mergers? I'm very interested to see. Actually, I don't think the team comp from the members only team is out to change. Yeah, Nuki Clunk's still going to run the tone. S-Gamer more than likely still on the Legion. Interestingly enough, no Ion coming out from one side of the team. Ion, I think, is pretty much jack of all trades, everything you could want. Both Ronins opting to get out for their battery. One gets clustered, one waits out, and both of them should essentially make it back in. S-Gamer, very nice block from S-Gamer, mitigating as much damage as he can. Gets a little bit of free damage onto the Ronin here with the plasma railgun shots. As it's going to be Benny rotating all the way up mid, realizing he can't make the push and will smartly disengage. I like that call from Benny. Opposite end, it's going to be Nuki. The collapse on the Nuki could now happen. And it starts to begin, but however, it's going to be Knight the one to target. Knight is going to definitely be forced into an eject here. And it's going to be Nexus next. Knight has been seen. Knight does not get killed yet. But however, on the opposite end, Benny is going to get the Doom on a 1. And the North Star not providing the value that from Ronin's side. Wow, a very nice head slide from Benny on top of his Legion. But the North Star has not been able to provide the value in this. Oof! That was a phenomenal power shot from S-Gamer. Taking Ronin out the game. By the way, S-Gamer doing his best person impression with full health at the end of the round. Able to cut the North Star off here. Has been sighted by the tone. 1 power shot, 2 power shots. Ronin in a world of hurt. Ronin understands the round is over and is going to take the eject, and that's already 1-0 for members only. is the game 1 score. Members only taking that pretty convincingly. Surprised the call wasn't just collapse on Nuki, but as we already know, collapsing on Nuki is a very difficult task. Nuki very evasive, very smart with his positioning, and when he knows he's the target, he's very difficult to pin down, and his return damage is also really good in those high intense situations. Despite the fact that Nuki runs one of the more lower damage kits, he makes up for it with a lot of consistent tone output. Tone's a Titan where in most instances she's either winning hard or losing hard, but Nuki finds a way to make it work. Dash shot. Dash is a little too far past the particle wall, but that's not the end of the world, so he will lose a little bit of damage and his particle wall. Ronin can't look for a shot here, doesn't find it. We're going to stick with. We're going to go rotate somewhere else. Double arclets come out. Knight not in a great position for himself as the collapse is on the S-Gamer. Benny is going to take some shots. And look at the target switch, by the way, coming out from Nuki Club. S-Gamer still alive. S-Gamer has taken a disembark, but he will fall down. Benny now with the sword core. Mark core pop from Knight, but Knight didn't turn around. Look at how healthy Benny is. On the opposite end, Ronin is trying to fight into Nuki's tone, and Nuki is playing phenomenally. Understands he has to rotate out, understands he's the target. Benny tried to find an instant goose with the lead wall, unable to find it. The pilot is now in play from Knight. This sonar pulse is about to do a lot of work, provided he can find it. Oh, doesn't actually find a lock on to the North Star. But meanwhile, Benny will collapse onto the Ronin and force the Ronin to eject as well. Benny's going to try to play his life here, has to be careful. Matter of fact, Benny's not even going to play his life. Benny's going to look to all-in aggress against the pilot. Frag grenade charge. Frag grenade misses the mark. Knight caught on the mantle. Knight will fall down. One pilot in play. Sure, Benny's Titan gets knocked out, but Ronin has to fight a tone with a battery. And he himself is doomed. Has to deal with Benny's pilot. Benny will die, but regardless, it's more than enough health that Nuki has to work with, and Nuki will finish the round out. 2-0 for members only. like I've said before, North Star gets worse the more Titans are on the map. Sure, the railgun's phenomenal if you land your shots and of course build up towards the flight core, but Ronin has elected to take the turbo engine. He's not going to get that flight core anytime soon, and turbo engine has been a lot more popular with the North Star, mainly for the dash picks, the rotation ability, and all that good stuff. But if you don't have the bite back from flight core in the situations when you need it to outright kill something, it's gonna be a little bit awkward. You can play the railgun game, you know what I mean? But if you do that and the other team does play aggressively, which we've seen members only where they understand what space they can take. Benny baited out a lot of cooldowns and then pulled the battery. Very smart play from Bennyfly there. Ronin caught out. Ronin already down to less than a bar. Ronin has to be careful, as now it's gonna be Nookie putting rockets and a Nightfire on the side. Look at this phenomenal positioning out for members only. All of them are not sticking too far out. Benny, of course, has to stick out a bit more because he is on the Ronin. He is getting collapsed on by their Ronin. But by dragging Kitty into this situation, he is able to trade Doom. Is not going to be able to save himself, however. Last gamer gets a smart core, but regardless, trades with Knight. And overall, members only, they're just playing better. Honestly, they're just kind of playing better Titanfall right now, it seems like. Throwing her onto the Pilot. Pilot is definitely going to go bye-bye. Nookie Clunk will not miss that shot any day of the week. A very nice wall as well. S-Gamer just going to chase down with Thunderbolt, see what he can do. Understands his Titan is forfeit. Will, however, seize this battery for Nookie. Nookie knows he doesn't need to pull the battery. He will just play patient with his tone. 1 and a 2. Incoming tracking rockets onto you. Can't find the mark, but it's just more about putting pressure. Nookie's going to get this battery. He's not going to be doomed, and now he's not doomed against the North Star. And now it's on the North Star to figure out how they're going to have to kill this tone if they want to continue this Boomtown game, but even then, S-Gamer, while he might not have a charge rifle, has Thunderbolt ready to put pressure onto this North Star, and even then, doesn't matter. Nookie understands he has the health advantage. Doesn't have to play aggressive with the North Star. As now it is on a North Star to make the move. Salvacore in the air. Double dash comes through. Does he have line of sight on the North Star? He does, and that should be the end of it. No, he didn't get line of sight long enough. Tracking rockets incoming. Not going to be a good way for Ronin to dodge, and that's going to be the end of the round. 3-0. 4 members only. Now, the good news for Knight & Company is they have an extra set to work with. So whatever adjustments they need to make, whatever things they need to do, they have time to figure it out. Right now, of course, team's going to go back to picks and bans. Okay? They have to make some kind of adjustment. The main thing right now is, again, just look at how phenomenal members only plays their spaces. S-Gamer on one end, chunks the North Star completely unaware where the Legion is. S-Gamer successfully able to hold his position. Nookie Clunk able to successfully hold his lane. Benny contesting mid so that way their Ronin can't just roam around and do whatever he wants. So when even you collapsed on one of the members, they have more than enough room to work with. The counter punch would be great. And they are just able to hold. And sure, the fights break out. One of the members falls, but even then, even if someone falls, they are ready to cover each other. Their team play and team synergy is just at a level now where it feels unmatched, honestly. But we're going to see if they can continue it. Knight & Company have opted to select Exoplanet for themselves. Exoplanet, a map, of course, where there is one phenomenal side, and the other side is definitely a uphill fight. One side gets a free battery, the other side has to deal with the disadvantage they were handed. But we're gonna see who gets what spawn, as it appears somebody had failed to spectate. There we go. That's what I thought. Yeah. I am on spec, so we're good. Ladies and gentlemen, of course, if you are a sub or whatever, just be sure to hit the spectate button. It's not difficult. So, folks, we are now getting started with Game 2, Set 1 of Grand Finals. Members only have started out their run phenomenally with a 3-0 on Boomtown. So we're going to see if they continue that on to Exoplanet. Here we are. First round of Exo. Nightfire gonna take this right side. It's gonna be Nexus just opting to pull it back. Didn't even opt to wait for the Ion, just opted to just get in and pull. Nuki is here. Rockets immediately onto Nexus. He's gonna see if we can catch Nuki out. No, he makes a split decision and goes towards Eskeeper and Benny. Ooh, Benny eats a huge power shot on an arc wave. Huge damage onto him. More rockets incoming. Oh, unfortunately, he didn't hold block long enough for all the rockets. But the damage spread has been done. Nexus has the Sword Core, gets the Doom on a Benny. Has to bait the power shot, doesn't bait the power shot correctly. All he had to do was wait, and now he himself is in the position where he's doomed. Of course, they do get the pick on a Benny's Titan, but Benny smartly disembarks and gets out as a pilot, understands his Titan is lost. But Nexus a little too eager. He's going to lose a ton of health in that one. Opposite end. Because Nexus, as I stated before, Nexus was too eager earlier. He's going to be forced to eject. And the Rockets have forced Ronin in front of the Legion. S-Gamer with the Smart Core. More Rockets incoming. And sure, you can shoot the wall, but that's not going to stop Nuki from pulling. Nuki has so much health. Great kill on a Benefly, so that's a start, but this comeback is going to be very difficult. Both Titans sonar. Nuki gets another set of rockets onto Ronin. Ronin taken out of the sky! A surgical precision strike! Salvador comes out. S-Gamer mitigating damage. Even he doesn't even need to do that. At this point, Nuki will come in and he will just clean up. Another round for members only. And not just that, but they got a round on the bad side. That's kind of got to be a big blow if you're trying to carry momentum as Knight and company. I'm not saying you can't lose a round on bad side, but all these rounds are going to start adding up. Again, they have the extra set, which is good. But even though they do, they've got to be a bit careful. Speaking of being careful, Benny needs to be careful. Benny ate a ton of damage. Nexus has lost all of his shields. Knight trying to turn and try to find a target. As the target is going to be onto Benny. Benny is doomed, which is huge. They can't look to isolate S-Gamer here. Ooh, not a block on a power shot. Sure, the arc S-Gamer, and now the collapse should be onto him, but no, they're actually not opting to just fully collapse onto him. S-Gamer gets out relatively scot-free, and because S-Gamer gets out, Knight loses a ton of health. Ooh, very nice play coming out from the Ronin. Does get the rip. Benny is forced to eject. On the opposite end, Knight is also forced to eject. And I think the pilots have overall traded. No, actually, Benny's still running around as a pilot. Knight couldn't find it. Especially since S-Gamer died, and S-Gamer's out of the picture. Now it's going to be Nexus coming up this mid. Nuki Clunk by himself with Benny pilot in tow. Has to face a lock-ons if he doesn't want to get doomed. Wall's been dropped. No arc waves, nothing. He wants to try to preserve himself from getting duped. Customers who gets a hit marker, doesn't find a kill until the pilot. But now Nuki has free reign. You shot the railgun. He can now walk up mid if he wants to. And he will. This tone's about to become a real problem. Especially since he has one more minute. Double Strider, however, can out-rotate the tone. It's on to Ronin, however. I think he needs to find this flight core. That was an excellent attempt at a dash shot. Oh no! Ill-advised timing with the Sword Core Arc Wave! And with that, the Salvo Core will come in, and the Salvo Core will end the North Star! Nuki making a huge clutch in a 1v2 against the Double Strider. All they needed to do was not do anything. But they opt to pop their cores, they don't mitigate the damage correctly, and Nuki just gets 2 free kills handed to him.
My systems are yours. Paint as many targets as you can with a 40mm.
Now I will say, okay, Knight's team, this is the first time they've been in Grand Finals. So it could potentially be the fact that they're a little nervous.
Come on, we can still win this.
0-2 right now sits the score. They need to find a round and stabilize themselves back into the set, because right now it is not looking great. They might potentially go down, I believe, 6 rounds straight. They have one more game in this first set to just make something happen, but it's not looking great. Arc Wave onto the tone wall is great. Arc Wave on a Benny is also good, but now you have no face. Askeeper's just walking up left side, and he's going to be uncontested. Very nice melee coming up from Benny. And Nuki lands a lot of rockets. Knight is just fighting this left side. But this is the problem, is that Double Strider doesn't want to be in these kinds of brawls. You really want your Legion here, but speaking of wanting your Legion, you're not going to have your Legion anymore. Knight has to take a disembark. Knight thankfully has survived. And the Auto Legion hasn't been dealt with yet. Ooh, back in. Looks like Knight's gonna die. It looks like Nexus, he'll barely make it around the corner, but no, even though he makes it around the corner, he is gonna be deceased. Ronin the last one. Ronin about to be dead for sure here, as Nuki's gonna round the corner. And matter of fact, members only will surround and contain the North Star for another 3-0 victory. Members only looking unstoppable since they got the run back against the regime. Looks like we're going to take a second. We're going to flip host. If anything, this gives Knight and company a second to attempt to halt members only's momentum. Just right now, it is not looking ideal. Knight and company. Yeah, it was game 2. Grands is best of 5. Currently, right now, for those of you uninformed, the score currently sits 2-0 for members only. Members only has won Boomtown, and they've won the Exoplanet. They're sitting on a phenomenal amount of momentum where they have just 6 rounds straight against the malicious mergers. Not 100% sure why we restarted. Honestly, you're going to have to get up with them. And it seems like the bans are still complex in Dry Dock. Okay, S Gamers using the bathroom. Alright, cool. So, we are still in Grands Day. Currently the score sets 2-0, members only. We are going to continue our Grand Finals set with this next game. This is the third game. Okay. We had a slight restart. One of the players may or may not have crashed. Not 100% sure as to why we restarted the lobby. But we're back. But right now, members only. They seem to have all the cards right now. Oh, so they opted to rehost to NA, so that way their sub can come in. Right now we're taking a second, waiting for S Gamer to come back from the bathroom break a second, and then we will continue our grand final set. So, ladies and gentlemen, still waiting. There's the ready coming out from one team. Is the other team ready to go? And the countdown has begun. Potentially the final game of the first set of grand finals. We have members only up 2-0 against the malicious mergers. The malicious mergers, they've got to find their footing. Nookie has pinged the lane. Nookie has not seen anything. Benny has seen something on the right. Nookie is going to take his free shot. He's going to opt to walk up here. He's realized he's not being contested. And since no one is here to deal with Nookie, Knight is now in a really awkward spot where he has to fight. But speaking of awkward spots, Benny tried to phase all the way in and contest the pull. Isn't able to find it. And it's going to be Extra and company trying to converge onto S-Gamer. S-Gamer's going to take the damage onto EP, but they're going to trade ejects. S-Gamer should win the pilot duel here, and he does. Regardless, Sorko coming in on a Nookie. Nookie is facing down two members. He gets the salvo core. He tries to defend himself, but it's not enough. Nightfire will come in And he will clean up the end of the round. And that's going to be the first round on the board in the set for the malicious mergers.
Transferring systems to pilot.
Here we are. One round on the board for malicious mergers. Nookie and company, they've stumbled a little bit. But nothing they can't come back and adjust from. But he's going to dash down the lane. He's not being contested up this hallway. Through the particle wall. Got one ping, but he's going to have to back out here before Knight turns back around. No, actually, he's opting to just hang out here. I'm not sure where the Ronin has opted to go, as now Benny's going to walk up this lane. And I see they have opted to trade sides. Knight is the one that's isolated here against more than likely. No, actually, it's going to only be the counter collapse actually happens. S-Gamer's being contested. And meanwhile, Benny's trying to find damage onto at least one of the members. Nexus goes in. He gets the Doom on the one. Sword Core is activated. However, Smart Core in return. The Laser Core also comes through. S-Gamer put in a bit of an awkward spot, but he has survived. One power shot goes up. S-Gamer goes up to the sky, and it's going to be members only punished for their aggression. Fire grenade incoming. That fire grenade actually almost killed S-Gamer outright. But the pilots are starting to be a big problem. Sure, they have the Titan advantage, but the pilot play, getting the first Titan down. Now it's Nexus all by himself, and Benefly in a very comfortable, safe position. Nookie gonna secure the battery for Benefly. And S-Gamer gonna give Benny a battery too. Look at this. The pilot play. The pilot control must be on point when you're fighting a team like this. Otherwise, their pilots roam free and they will win the round eventually for you. Slowly but surely, Nexus is getting worn down, and that's going to be the end of the round. Even though the fight went their way, the fact they couldn't kill all the enemies, Titans, on members only side, the pilots go forth. They find one, and they eventually find another.
Pilot on board. Welcome back.
I will say, one of the things that did swing that fight, at least slowly started bringing the fight back, was Benny's Sword Core actually finds a ton of damage onto multiple members of the malicious mergers, as well as Extra, unfortunately missing most of the Laser Core onto the enemy Legion, not taking him out immediately. S-Gamer finds a phenomenal power shot. Early dash power shot, try to see if he can make a read on somebody. Great splash power shot coming out from Knight, but a return from S-Gamer is good. But again, Nookie's just going to roam the map. He's been relatively uncontested. Outside of when team fights break out, instant tracker rockets couldn't find the mark. But he has the 2 locks on the Ronin. He's trying to find a lock on the Ronin. He gets it. S-Gamer now in a world of hurt. However, all 3 members have been forced around this hallway. Now this mid battery is definitely free. Ooh, nice job from Nookie. He gets the tracking rockets catch on the arc wave particle wall. Sword Core incoming. Punch. The containment from this Sword Core has been phenomenal. They get the Doom. More damage coming up from Nookie. Look at just how many rockets are flying out. I mean, look at this also. Their successful disengage has earned them a place back into this round. Laser coming out in the mid. But Nookie survives, actually. He thought he was going to be the target to die. But actually, Benny is protecting the Titan. And the Auto Titan, put in follow mode, actually goes towards Nookie. If Nookie can leave his Titan in guard mode, no, he cannot. Instead, he's going to put his hopes and dreams into Benefly. Benefly has to come up huge here. Ooh, against Extra in company. Double arc wave. Has to take an eject. Ronin Doom next to you. He didn't realize it. Doesn't get the melee. Does get the kill on the pilot, though. That is a huge start. Can't find... Actually, Nookie couldn't find the duel against the enemy pilot. Nexus versus Benny. Both of them are doomed, but Nexus has the pilot. Arcwave is good. Benny has to look for an all-in soon. Not going to be able to find it. Unfortunate. Very close. But the malicious mergers hold on, and they get another round for themselves.
They aren't winning by much. Take them out, 6-4.
The malicious mergers have established themselves a lead in this game. Benny's going to go for the battery. But, however, the Ronin thinks otherwise and will back off. Not repeating the same mistakes that Benny did earlier. He sees the tone there, opts to play respectful. But smart enough from Benny, decides to cut off this lane. Forced to burn the phase, he wants to get back here. Not in company are here. As Benny is just anchoring out too. He's having fine enough time holding start block, waiting Knight to use all his cooldowns. Knight gets huge punished. S Gamer on the follow-up already. One person's damage is down, the other person comes in, and now it's Ben Eater on the rotate in. Gets arc waved, but regardless, the Ronin has been in an awkward spot. Knight is now here. Power shot for power shot. Knight finds the smart core. Opposite end, Benny finds the sword core. S Gamer's doomed. And it seems like S Gamer will take an eject. Very nice defense from Ep. Ep will get the doom on the Benny, and Benny is going to have to rotate back up. Nexus has a battery in him, by the way. This is a hard position for members only have found themselves in. But we're going to see if they can opt to claw their way back out. Nexus has a ton of health. Nookie is really close by. Nookie's going to have to pop the salvo core. This salvo core is going to have to do wonders right now, but it's not going to find it. Benify opting to defend himself as long as he can, but Nexus will stall the melee, and it's going to be a 3-1 victory for the malicious mergers. Not out of it yet. So I think Knight and Company have found the map that they prefer. They have been resoundingly winning this glitch map. They took it over the regime, which they sent them to the losers bracket, and they've also taken it over members only. Benny and Company usually like to ban this map anyways. And we can kind of see why. Some of their engagements are a little bit awkward. And the positioning that Knight and Company opt to just run is very unorthodox. Usually we see people opt for the stall fight in mid. But instead, what they opt to do is that if they have to go mid, they're more than okay with it, and they just have people rotate around as a team. Benny and Company have not been able to isolate a target fast enough while the rotation flank is coming. Usually the push and pull is that you can isolate one target and kill them outright, and then now you play the 3v2, but since the isolate onto the target has not been great, or Knight and Company are just straight up hanging out in their spawn, it gives them more than enough time for their teammates to come in. But in that situation, you should look to just secure batteries for yourselves and essentially just play the game with the lead from there. But we're going to keep going. Our fourth game of Set 1 of Grand Finals is going to be on Boomtown. Earlier, we saw members only 3-0 on Boomtown. We're going to see if they can opt to do it again. This time, I'm wondering if they're still going to have Ronin play or if they're going to have him sit out. They're going to have Ronin sit out, so there's going to be no North Star. It's probably going to be extra on the Ion. Extra found a lot of success. They're opting not to run the North Star. The North Star, as good as she is, as stated before, the more Titans are on the map, the less value she gets. Nexus gonna get the battery for free. And it's gonna be Askewr rotating off the Legion, gonna go towards the Ion himself. Double Atlas against Nightfire is gonna be a nightmare for him to deal with. Sees Benny, but even though he sees Benny, he doesn't really get that much damage, as now his Legion essentially has a ton of downtime. Very nice play from Nexus here. Nexus gets a good amount of return damage on a Benny, but however, his teammates are feeling the pain. As I said before, this double Atlas composition, very nice dash away from Nuki to avoid all the return damage that would have came out from that Ronin, getting her out of the way of the Arc Wave. Askewr in an awkward spot, but now Benny is the one that is the target. He wasn't ready. Benny loses a ton of health. Matter of fact, gets himself doomed. Arc Wave onto Nuki Klunk's wall. He's not going to have that for a bit, but even still, look, the way that Members Only is playing. Kiting back and forth around this Grandma building. Sword Core incoming. Tried to find it on a Benny, couldn't find it. Sword Core pop. Coming out from Nexus. Nexus is going to get one melee. He's going to try to fish for another one, but has to be careful. There's multiple members around him. Does he successfully get the injury off? No! Nuki Klunk will deny him out the air. And now it's just Extra all by himself. Nowhere to go. And that's going to be a win for Members Only. Members Only just looking to take advantage of the fact that they understand that they are a better positioned team overall. Knight himself is going to have such a hard time into the double Atlas composition. He has to deal with a Vortex Shield, he has to deal with a Particle Wall, he has to deal with rockets coming down on him. It's not a good time to be a Legion main. I'm not sure what else Titan's Knight plays, but in this situation, his Legion essentially is going to get completely shut down. I love this swap from Askewr, opting to just counterpick. If he wants to keep running the Legion, let him. Nexus gonna go for the battery. It's gonna get it safely. Extra couldn't make a decision on what he wanted to snipe. Matter of fact, Benny is just waiting. Benny opted to wait first, see if he can base some damage out for his Tone, see what he could get done there. Ooh, long-range power shot, however, does find the mark. I'm not sure if he was able to hit Benny or if he was able to hit the Ion with it. But he did get a hit mark with it, so he definitely hit something. Ooh, another long-range power shot. Sure, this Tone is going to find it a bit of consistent damage, but the fact that Knight is in a really good spot this time to contest this opposite end is really good for himself. However, Nexus goes in against 3, which I don't think is really advised. He's going to be the target. He's going to die. Askewr is traded, but now Knight and company need to go in, need to finish this fight off fast before the pilot starts making their life hell. Ooh, Knight couldn't find the rip, a little too slow in the melee. The laser core comes out, but the laser core doesn't find anybody. So many missed cores. That core, however, is not going to miss. The salvo core will destroy Nightfire. Great laser shot from Extra. Extra's in a 1v2. Has to be careful. Let's see if we can find Nuki here. He does find Nuki trying to pull the battery. And now it's just Extra versus Benny. Benny can face over for mid. He can actually get over if he wants to. Doesn't make it in time. Extra does get the battery. And now Extra will also find the kill onto Benny. Very nice blind laser shot through the smoke. Able to make himself a 1v2 on the board. It's going to be the Malicious Mergers with the tie-up on the round count. No 3-0 on Boomtown. And they're starting to crawl their way back into this set. Extra with the heads-up play. Hit the latest shot on Nuki. Caught Nuki being greedy. And Nuki decided not to play his life. Gets denied the battery. And because of that, secures himself a battery. But again, Benny could have opted to phase over from the mid area. I believe there is movement tech that makes it there. Also, by the way, Nexus running the AWOL on this side. The only way you're going to stop that is if you have a North Star yourself. Knight holding versus Nuki. Bit of a tough spot. Since he himself is gonna he's gonna just harass down by this town. Someone's gonna have to rotate over and deal with Nuki eventually. Nexus. Actually, the all-in is gonna be on the. That's gonna be on the Extra. Extra has made it out successfully though, but he's gonna try to walk back in and fight. But he himself is missing half. Extra has laser core actually. Doesn't opt to pop it. Has popped it now. He's gonna pop it on a Nuki. He gets a decent amount of damage, but not really. That's the value he's looking for. But he has forced Nuki into the wrath of the sword core. Ton of damage coming out. Ooh, but Nexus not playing careful enough. He's going to take a lot of return damage himself. And again, they're not able to isolate a target. So that Benny's going to live a lot longer than he should. Try to find a blind power shot, and now Nuki is definitely going to get the doom onto somebody. Looks like Knight is probably going to be doomed here for sure. Nope, here comes the Rockets. Couldn't find the power shot on the Ronin, and now it's going to be face down against Nuki. Salvo core incoming onto mid towards the Ronin, not ready! Caught throwing an arc wave. Knight also has to take an eject. Nuki with 2 on the board real fast. But again, the team fight was going their way. They just weren't able to isolate another target. The sword core play was a little bit sloppy from Nexus there. Had he able to just isolate Nuki, which he can just chase down with the sword core, or just get the doom on Benefly at least, we would be looking at a different round. A little bit of careless play, not respecting the tracking rockets at all, caught holding an arc wave, is going to do him and his team in. Regardless, they're still in position where they can make this an even game. Nexus is going to go towards Nuki here, but he sees Benny behind him. Benny is now the subject of many people's firepower. Nexus has to take a seat for a second under the bridge. Well, unfortunate miss on the laser shot, and again, Nexus is getting hard punished. People just not ready to deal with the firepower of multiple members. However, he is even with Benefly, does find the sword core. Benefly gonna have to find an eject. However, look at Extra's health bar. Extra getting harassed by this stone. Extra has the laser core. Gonna look to pop it. S-Gamer didn't have the power shot, I don't think. But even then, he's gonna have the bullets for this. Benefly finding the charge head goose, actually, with the charge rifle. Ooh, Nightfire did a greedy power shot. Nightfire is definitely gonna pay for that. Nuki is here, and Nuki is gone. He's not gonna be able to chase down any targets. As a matter of fact, he's the last Titan alive. All the other members have bit the dust. Nightfire, hopes and dreams washed away by the salvo core, and that's going to be a bracket reset for members only. Knight and company are starting to find their footing, but now is the time where everything they do counts. The one set that they had to give is over. I believe it's still the same. Let me check the bracket, because I forget to. No, it's still the same. Yeah. Yeah, it's just a reset bracket. I had to go make sure. Pretty sure it's still the same. I went to go look at the bracket and make sure. Yep. Yep, top seed stays the same. One second. Alright, I just had to check on something real quick. I am back. Here we are. Bracket reset by members only. They have opted to select Colony for themselves. Now, friendly reminder, it is still 3 out of 5. Okay? We are in a new bracket. Both teams have successfully been sent to the loser's bracket. Knight and company, they struggled to find their footing in that first set, but now we're starting to see signs of life for them. So, it all starts to matter right now. Very surprised. Alright. Here we go. Nookie taking the tone. S-Gamer on the Legion. Benny Fly on the Ronin. This is the reset of Grand Finals. First round. S-Gamer in the close range mode, holding the mid position. Benny Fly on the left is going to opt to take the battery. Long range power shot incoming. Doesn't find the mark. However, Nookie. Why did a nice low angle curve? Get some rockets in. Sees Night Fire, gonna get some shots in. Now he's off to contest the Ion. The Ion actually doesn't have to push up. S-Gamer finds a phenomenal power shot on the Knight, but Night Fire finds a power shot on the Benny, unblocked. Night Fire, however, stuck around until it bit off a bit more he could chew. He is up in the sky. Nexus trying to find the return pick, and he does find it. Extra is here, however, Sorcerer popped from Benefly. Contest is here. Multiple people trying to find the rip. Can't seem to find it. S-Gamer doing a phenomenal job of harassing as the pilot. I find a Doom and an Ion, but regardless, the contest on to Nookie. Nookie's going to survive. Both Ronin take an eject. But it's going to be... No, both pilots, I think. Actually, no. Benny actually loses the pilot 1v1. Now, unfortunately, S-Gamer was on the back end. S-Gamer going to be able to find the pick. And now he's allowed to do. And now S-Gamer giving the battery on a Nookie. And Nookie with the Salvo Core is going to outright end the round. And that's going to be 1-0 for members only. Members only take the first round. Granted, it came down to the 1v1. Knight's been putting up a lot of damage with the Legion he's been playing, but the problem is that he's not doing the best job of getting out when he needs to. Benny's just opt-pull the battery from here. Nexus can opt to look for Arc Wave and Arc Wave. Knight comes in, might have ate the power shot. S-Keeper's down to half already, but on the back end, the return damage from Benny is going to be huge. Benny's going to come up to Extra. Extra is now the target. Extra takes half as well. Now Benny's back in mid. I love this play from Benefy. Look at this. Cycling targets. Knowing exactly where to rotate and where to be. And now Extra is going to get taken out. Sword Core pop. Next is going to get taken out. Knight the last one. Knight also falls. Members only. A clean 2 kills across the board. On top of that, the damage spread close to even. S-Gamer, of course, leading with a slight marginal difference, but each member having 20,000 damage. It's a beautiful sight to see.
really well destroying them. Keep it up, 6-4.
Nuki, gonna take this tone. Hop over the wall. I had to back up for a second, but it's alright. Still hasn't used the sonar. Surprised no round start sonar. Ooh, okay, caught the run and get back in. Gonna get a slight punish, but it's gonna get healed back up by that battery. Not enough. Ooh, Nightfire also here as well. Gets another power shot on Benny. Nightfire's been landing a lot of power shots on her own. S-Gamer is now the target. S-Gamer gonna take a ton of damage. Benny and S-Gamer already taking a ton of damage, but I believe the Smart Core has been activated, but not gonna matter. The cloak in play. Benny is now the one on the run. However, again, the pilot play. Benny's gonna have to take an eject on the opposite end. It seems that the Nightfire has died. And now it's Nexus getting ripped apart by Molder 1 pilot. Nookie Clunk still relatively healthy. Has opted to take the disembark. Benny gonna take the pilot 1v1. And even then, he has his teammates to back him up. The fight goes south for members only, but they recover phenomenally. Nookie Club getting another battery. He has 2 pilots to work with as well. Very nice shot from Nookie. He's going to opt to get another battery. And meanwhile, look at S-Gamer being as annoying as possible. Salvo Core in the air. Salvo Core comes down. Salvo Core did not find complete marks, but regardless, doesn't really matter at this point. S-Gamer has the rodeo, and that's going to be the end of Colony. 3-0 for members only. Here we are, immediately going straight to game 2. Members only currently sit up 1-0 in the new set. They've been playing phenomenally and haven't missed a beat. Knight and Company, again, they can do it. Don't count them out just yet. They're on the complex. Their team fights have been really great. Knight has been finding a ton of damage. It's just the pilot control. Against a team like this, as I've stated before, you cannot be missing on pilot control, because if you are, you are going to suffer. We've seen how many times that members only lose a team fight, but even though they lose, the pilots swing the round back into favor. Ion's 1v1ing on the right. Knight and Company holding up the left. Surprised how far back. Ooh, Knight's gonna fill that one. He has no power shot for this engagement. He has the extra rounds, but having no power shot on this come up is gonna be kind of huge. Hasn't taken the reload either. 2-man power shot. Great call out. I think there was a call out on no gun shield, but Knight gets his gun shield deleted as well. So I believe overall Knight may have lost more health. Dash power shot, very aggressive. But again, Knight, I don't know how he does it. He keeps catching these Ronins doing something. Sword core for sword core. Very nice melee box coming up from Nexus as he decided to box out Benny for 1 melee. Benny now is taking eject. S-Gamer is taking eject on the opposite side. Extra has won his 1v1 against Nookie. And that's going to be 1 round on the board. 4. The Malicious Mergers. I will say, though, they have a good side for now. But we're going to see how things turn when things are get flipped around. Regardless, though, they have shown they are still here to play, and they are still here to fight. Extra trying to find a cheeky laser shot through the window. Not able to find it. Nexus and company. They will hold the middle lane. No eyes on anything yet. Tone is now the play. Ooh, double Arcwaves have been burned. That means the Tone gets a free wall in middle. As a matter of fact, the entire team is going to pull up in middle. Extra is here. He has the Vortex. That's going to mitigate a lot of damage. Has to play very careful of these tracking rockets coming up mid because even though the Tone can't curve, the rockets can still hit your teammates on accident. Benny has core. Knight is down to less than a bar. There's probably going to be some aggressive power shot coming out, and there it is. That's their 1 out, and now the out's burned. The Sword Core comes in. The Ronin is tearing through the entirety of the Merciless Mergers. Extra gets a rip, but regardless, he's stuck in place. Backhanded by the Tone, flipped over. 1-1 for members only. Interesting call. They opt to go to the double Atlas strategy on a complex map. Now, typically a very risky option, especially since Nookie has the Pulse Echo kit. But Benny hit so many stacked up arc waves. And once Knight burned the power shot, that was their only defensive option against the Sword Core. Not being careful with his cooldowns, he also took a ton of damage. This is the story with Knight. Knight is feast or famine, I think. Either he is demolishing someone, or he himself is getting demolished. That's the power shot down. Couldn't find the mark with anything. Gunshield's been burned. Gonna get a lot of free chip damage. Now he's going to opt to walk up with no gun shield. This is going to be a little bit awkward. Not sure what the Ion is fighting on the opposite side. Knight has made it up into position, but he's eaten 2 long-range power shots, I think. Not holding gun shield, not respecting the damage that's going to be thrown at him. Knight will go all the way in, but on the opposite end, it's going to be Extra collapse on the 2. Extra trying to do his best, but regardless, Extra is going to fall down. S-Gamer not collapsed on the opposite end. And because of that, S-Gamer is going to keep surviving. Power shot on a Knight is good. S-Gamer with excellent target priority. Knight is going to go down. And even though S-Gamer trades out, the Salvo Core also comes out. And that's going to be the end of Nexus. A 2-1 lead for members only. Members only. They're going to try to see if they can put themselves up on the board 2-0 in terms of set count. Unless the Malicious Mergers can even up the set to 1-1.
They aren't winning by much. Take them out, 6-4.
Currently, members only sits 1-0. We're going to see if the score changes now or if it doesn't change at all. Knight and company. Gonna have to hold strong here. Knight opting to just walk all the way up mid. Has to be a bit careful. He's shot. He's revealed himself on the radar. That means members only knows exactly where he is. He's still in long range mode, by the way. Opts to swap to close range mode a little bit late. Both power shots have been burned. Catches the normal power shot onto Benny. Again, Knight keeps finding these honestly phenomenal power shots onto the opposing Ronin. Benny opting to defend himself with only melees. However, the power shot for power shot return is good. Nexus trying to see what he can find. Benny does find the Doom onto the enemy Ronin. Nookie does also take a spill. Opposite end, Knight is holding versus S-Gamer. Knight will take the eject, but S-Gamer with the instant goose. He has to find the damage onto 2. Unfortunately, S-Gamer has given away his position. One power shot's going to come through, but not enough damage to fight the laser core. The rounds have been tied up on Complex, and we're going to a final round for our Game 2 of Set 2.
Zone systems transfer to pilot.
Here we are. We saw it here. I decided to spectate this side because I wanted to see what they would pick, and they have selected the Scorch. The game plan now has completely shifted. The game plan now is to fry and die for somebody. Knight and company actually opted to go left instead for go mid. Never mind. Knight has opted to rotate mid. He's seen Benefly, gets a little bit of chip damage. They have no idea. They don't know yet. They don't know. Not sure if the Scorch has been spotted yet. But the way they're playing, very slow. Catches the arc wave. The fire has calmed down! The Scorch has made an appearance! Extra is behind. But actually, really good mitigation so far for the Merger Squad. S-Gamer gets ripped to pieces for trying to go in. S-Gamer opts to go for the rip. He finds it. Power shot. Does find the mark. Can't find a kill on the S-Gamer. S-Gamer gets out. S-Gamer will survive. But even then, Extra has fallen down. The pilots! The pilots again! The story of members only. Knight tries to find the power shot. He can't line it up. And that's going to be Complex. A 2-0 lead for members only. The Scorch pick from S-Gamer did not work out. But even then, again, another game where members only bounce back because of their pilot play. The fight swings back and forth a few ways. Knights gets forced out completely. He survives. S-Gamer dies. Nexus goes in with the Sword Core. But both the other two members of members only decide to contain it. They get the rip, and because they get the rip, they're allowed to play their pilots. And the game just ends. I'm not 100% sure what happened to Extra on the back end, but Extra gets taken out of the game and all the chaos. And unfortunately, Knight and company are now sitting 0-2. Members only up 2 in the set. This is potentially the last game of the tournament. Knight and company, again, they've shown that they can do it. And here we go. I like the band coming out from Benny. They saw Glitch once and they never want to see it again. And here's the pick. The crash site. right now. Nookie is currently AFK. When he comes back, we're going to resume our grand finals. They have said they're ready. Knight and company. This is their last stand, potentially. And here we are. The final game of our first 3v3 LTS tournament of 2025 potentially on the table. Members only. The malicious mergers. Now we start on crash site. Benny and company will be given the good side early. This is a huge blow, as if they play their cards correctly, they can look for an early 2-0 lead. It's a matter of, can they close it out? Ooh, I like Benny's strat. Benny tried to get on top of the crate, couldn't find it, but it is relatively okay. Knight is still on the Legion, doesn't find the power shot on the Benny, might have swung it last second towards Escaver. Taking a lot of melee engagements, and now he's going to take his reload as Nexus has the Doom. Couldn't find the rip, unfortunate. But regardless, Doom for Doom. Extra is also doomed. Knight also really low. As I've stated before, just even though Benny dies, look at how much damage he's done, but look how much return damage he does. However, on the opposite end, Escaver also falls. Alpha Core coming out from Nookie. Finds a good amount of damage on the Knight. Knight forced into the air. And it's going to be the Ronin plus Pilot. Nookie is going to have to find a huge clutch for himself here. Nookie's going to might potentially look for the battery. He does. Ooh, can't find the arc grenade for himself onto the Pilot. Thankfully, Nexus goes in and disengages safely. Doesn't let himself be ripped in the process. Nookie has the lock-ons. Technically is in a situation where he can draw, but has to find Nightfire's Pilot. Hears him. Knows exactly where he is. He saw the outline. Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know, you can actually see Cloak Pilots as a Titan if you look specifically for their outlines. Huge tracking rocket damage. Oh my goodness, Nexus almost put himself in a position where he could be killed. Nookie successfully evading for as long as possible, but the arc waves coming up this hallway are about to be really awkward. There's one. More tracking rockets incoming. Nexus does not want to let this go. He wants to find this kill if he can. Nookie successfully kiting the Ronin, successfully building space. Try to stick around for that shot. He's too close now. Very nice block from Nexus. But the arc waves and the chase down are good. Nookie will die. Very nice read on the particle wall. And that's going to be around 4. The malicious murderers. Actually, I should also say that is a round for them on the bad side. Nookie and company aren't going to have this good side for much longer. The fact that they already have a lead is huge. But we're going to go right back in it. S-Gamer has opted to swap to the Scorch, as they have a dedicated Scorch player. No team switch from the Nightfire squad. I love that adjustment from Nexus. Nexus this time opts to just take the shot versus the Arc Wave. And great melee too to knock Benny off the box. Nexus has to be careful. The Scorch is now in play. And multiple members get Arc Waved, but the Doom is good. Tries to find a rip on a Benny. Very greedy. And because of that, it's going to cost him his life. Not worth it. And because of that, Benny now gets to play the game. And Benny's really close to a sword core. He's trying to look for this battery potentially. No, instead, opposite just use his body as a shield. And it gets caught! Arc waving tripwires. That's going to be one member down. Should be a laser core potentially coming out. Laser core for flame core. Takes the eject on one end. S-Gamer kind of used that, I think, in a bit of an awkward situation. And now S-Gamer's going to be potentially the one that gets piloted down instead. Nuki has the smart core, and now one member has to take an eject. S-Gamer gets the battery for his teammate. Doing his best person impression. Securing his teammate's life first. Nightfire, however, has a ton of health to work with, as he's already making his way towards that other battery. But it hasn't been collected by his pilot yet. His pilot has found it. Thunderbolt on the way. Trying to do whatever damage he can. However, Nightfire did triple power shot, or double power shot. He has double normal power shot. However, unfortunately, Knight's pilot's gonna die. Now this gives S-Gamer an opportunity to work on it. I just realized that when Knight disembarked, he opted to activate the quote double power shot bug. Even if you have one power shot as Legion, there is a way to interrupt the animation where you technically have more than one. Knight used the gun shield. Because Knight used the gun shield, he's in a bit of an awkward spot. He's trying to take the heads up fight versus Nuki. Nuki will just get the rip, and that's going to be one round for members only. This is going to be a little rough now. Members only. Have to now fight uphill. But they've shown their team play skills. They've shown their pilot skills. They can potentially make it happen. Another arc wave onto the Ronin. No arc wave onto the backline. Instead, opt to save the arc wave for the 1v1. And now, however, the Scorch Fire. The Scorch has made it. It's going to be Knight on the Scorch. S-Gamer left for dead. S-Gamer roasted alive. He's up. Extra also up. Nuki couldn't find the instant goose onto the pilot a little bit too late. And now it's Benny and Knight stuck in the 2v2 versus the King of the Hill Scorch. Benny has the sword core. Opposite elects to pop it. He's going to try to see what he can get done with these arc waves. 1 out, 2 out. Finds a Doom on a Knight. Very nice played from Benny's Ronin. He sees Extra's pilot. He can't get the kill. He does get it eventually. Good Firestar stick. Unfortunately, Knight takes an eject and will perish to the smart core. And it's another situation where Nuki has a ton of health. He has a pilot. Benefly trying to get away for his life. And he does actually find a way out. But actually, while he might get out, on the opposite end, the sword core is inbound. He tries to punch for his life, pushing the Ronin away for a very long amount of time. Almost finds the rip. Thankfully, Nexus takes a second, uses the shotgun, finish the job off. And now, the mergers. 2-1 lead on Crash Site.
We haven't lost yet. Let's show them what the 6-4 can do.
Let's see what else they can do here. Even if this game is lost, they're still in the set lead. However, if they can make the comeback, this will be the end of the tournament. Benny sees Nexus, sees the Ion. The Ion likes to spend a laser onto the enemy Ronin. Benny took a lot of damage on his way in, and he is the target, so he will have to rotate out. Knight has expended a lot of his thermal shield, and now Benny needs to rotate away. S-Gamer tries to pick the Scorch as well, but he isn't finding the same value that Knight is. Ooh, very nice lineup. Arcwave coming out from the opposing Ronin. Knight gets on top of the box for a second, but they do find the first pick initially, which is a big boon. Benny playing very patiently with the Sword Core. Nuki finds the pilot. Now they just have to play very carefully. Oh, Flamecore comes out, but Flamecore does not find the value they were looking for. S-Gamer thought he could find a lot more than he did. Nice kill onto the pilot, and members only are clawing their way back into the game. Nexus, he opted to back away, but he was a little too slow on chasing the Legion, and he's gonna die as well. Members only have tied up the crash site map while being on the bad side. This is part of the reason why you need to end the game. Extra unfortunately falls down a little early, forcing the 3v2, and the members only, just their team lives long enough where they eventually just start doing enough damage and start doing enough relevant things so that they eventually to win the round. And because they made it that way, now we're in a 2-2 scenario. This could potentially be the last round of the tournament. Arcwave, great shot by Benny. Actually gets a great shot there. Nice block as well. Arcwave incoming. Benny fly. Nice map tech movement up and over the crate. Mitigates damage phenomenally there. Clean disengage as well. Extra might be the target, but look at where Knight and company are. S-Gamer's in a bit of an awkward spot. No, the collapse is actually on a Benny. Benny has no face. Benny actually taken out of the game early! S-Gamer, it is on you. Your hopes and dreams. No, has to take to the sky. Couldn't find the flame core. And now it's just Nuki by himself. Multiple members. It's gonna be the malicious mergers taking that game. Securing themselves at least one on the board. Ooh. They banned Boomtown and Colony, and they have opted to select Exoplanet. The ready has come out. Now, we saw what happened last time when they had Ronan playing. But this time, it seems like the plan might just be have Extra run through the entire rest of the set. And here we are. We have locked in on Exoplanet. Potentially, we can start seeing more Titanfall if Knight and Company continue on their crusade. Or will it be members only, adding another W to their belt?
Transferring systems to pilot.
Exoplanet is going to be our third map in the rotation. Members only setting up with a 2-1 game lead. Knight and Company, they have the bad side first, which I think is ideal for them. And it's going to be, he made a very ballsy pull, but it worked out. He got it safely back in. Nexus now has a battery for a battery, and they've opted to rotate in Ronin on the North Star. Extra has been doing a lot of work for them, but instead they opt to rotate in Ronin for this map. Which I wonder how that's going to go. Nexus kind of pushed up a bit aggressively and ate a bit of damage for himself. Very nice discipline from Benny. Opt to just continue to block. Ooh, a very aggressive melee. The aggro onto S-Gamer actually does find him the kill. Great shot by Ronin. However, it does also force 9 to the air, and Knight is outright killed as a pilot as well. Nexus, he's going in with the Sword Core. He's doing a ton of damage onto one of the members of Members Only, but as they say, you try to kill one, another one will come in and find you, and gets the insta-goose, does Nuki. Very nice shot coming out there for Ronin, but the problem is that he's stuck in the 1v2. Benny's coming by with shields. Very nice shot again. Has the flight core. But like, that's the thing with running this turbo engine, is sure you get to rotate around, you get to do more dash shots, but what is the point of having flight core in a situation like this where you have one pilot and your entire team is already dead? I'm still likes to pop the flight core. Gonna see if he can find the pilot. Can't even find the pilot. And Nuki will secure the kill with the charge rifle. But again, this is the bad side. They try to make it happen by coming up even with the honestly wild bat pool coming out from Nexus there. Wasn't able to find it. Does he opt to do it again? No, not this time. Nuki ready to contest, ready to cover it. And he's just gonna wait around the corner. Members only. Ooh, nice anchor coming up from Knight, but Knight's gonna eat a ton of damage, and those two arc waves are gonna give Benefly a ton of core. Knight already potentially a bar. Did a lot of damage to Benny, however. And Nexus trying to find some return at least. But Knight, his health bar is hurting. Great power shot from him, but he's definitely the target. Sword Core incoming. Opts to block. Knight has to take an eject here for sure. S-Gamer is going to be the target of Knight, but regardless. Nexus has held. Oh, a power shot coming out from S-Gamer. S-Gamer actually makes it around the corner. The fact that Nexus doesn't have the Sword Core yet is a huge loss, and because of that, the round is also going to be lost. Nuki Kong is going to take that and going to put Members Only on another situation of tournament point.
Transferring systems to manual operation.
Members only. If they win this next round, the entire tournament is over and they will be the champions. However, Knight and company, they have the good side from here on out. Next is going to go for this battery pull immediately. Spec bug. Okay, draw the round. Okay, cool. Somebody on enemy team got spec bug. Sometimes that happens. We just draw the round and we continue. Now, as they like to say, once more, again, this time with feeling. Oh, I have spec bug. Hold on. I can fix this. And there we go, ladies and gentlemen. We're back in. Nice unblocked shot early coming up from Ronan. Thankfully, we got the spec bug fixed to see that one live. High fire. Next is actually hard stuck in mid. He's facing down 3 members. He doesn't have a phase. He's taken half. He's played a little too aggressively. He's still trying to play aggressively. S-Gamer definitely has held most of his mag. Matter of fact, he's probably held a power shot for him. And it's going to be... Benny actually gets taken out. S-Gamer going to be potentially next. No, not another sword core swing. Wasn't there. Because of that, S-Gamer is going to survive a little bit longer. Knight's going to try to see if he can find it. He does, but Knight's probably going to have to take an eject soon too as well. Target to don't find the mark. Smart core has been activated. And it's Nuki Clunk again in the 1v2. He has a pilot to work with. Knife fire opts to take an eject, which I don't know if that's really advised because he could get sniped by the car. Thankfully, doesn't find it. Ronan now in the North Star. Has to take the heads up fight versus Nuki. Knight has to be careful. Very nice shots from Ronan. However, Nuki has the salvo core. If they take a core fight, it can go either way depending on the salvo core acts. Sometimes salvo core can just miss the North Star in a heads up trade. But even then, Ronan has to be careful of the amount of damage he has to take. But speaking of people have to be careful, Knight has to be careful about the 1v1 against Benny. He has unfortunately lost that. Ronan needs to take out this pilot immediately. The more chip damage he takes, the less health he's going to have for the flight core. But he needs the flight core in order to win the round. Salvo core incoming! He's been spotted for sure! Salvo core coming around the building. Nuki Cook trying to hold it on the Cosmo. Nice shot on the pilot. Salvo core incoming! Flight core returns, but the rockets are coming. The rockets have on the mark. Nuki Cook is going to seal the deal. He has too much health, and that's going to be a tournament win for members only. A phenomenal salvo core coming out from Nuki Cook. Ronan not able to avoid the damage entirely. Tries to flight core back, but doesn't have the health to continue. That's going to be how our first tournament of the year concludes. Members only are still the team to beat in the year of 2025. Phenomenal showing from them. And honestly, a crazy 3v3 tournament. What a way to start our tournament year. Members only, holding on to their title strong. Even though they got sent to losers, they got the run back against the regime, took the regime down, and then took it to the people who put the regime in losers. But that is going to be it from me. Congratulations to members only for winning another LTS event under their belt. And we're going to see if they can keep that streak going in future events. Of course, TBT, we're going to look to see what else we can host throughout the year, as this is probably going to be our first tournament of many. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Lethal. I have been your commentator / host for the afternoon. And I will be seeing you all in the next LTS installment for Titanfall 2. Take care of yourself, everybody.